time we went for a ride. Awesome. Alright, good morning everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching. If you like the content, please consider subscribing, smashing that subscribe button, because it really helps me out a lot. Now, since the rains have gone, as you can see, clear blue sky, and since the 400 has a license plate, it's only fitting we go for a first ride. Now, before we get going, what I want to mention is I haven't ridden this one outside the yard, and what I did notice on my first ride around the yard is the experience is very much dominated by the engine. And why is that? I want to explain it a little bit. If you look at the specs, the engine doesn't seem to have quite a lot of power. It's only 32 brake horsepower, and for a 215 kilogram scooter that may not seem like a lot, but what you have to be looking at is the torque number. It's 40 newton meters of torque, available from, I think it's around 5500 rpm. That's very low, and especially coupled with the CVT transmission, which lets the engine rev to its maximum torque output and keeps it there constantly during acceleration. That gives you pretty brisk acceleration. The torque number is almost as high as its big brother, the Maxsym TL508, the new one that's coming out this year. So it may not seem like it has a lot of power, but it actually does. And because of the torque is the power that you feel pulling you, pushing you forward. Horsepower is just torque multiplied by RPM. So the true power of the engine is given by the torque number. And that's kind of why the engine dominates the experience of riding this scooter. Or at least I am led to believe it, that the engine dominates. But we shall see. Let's get it out and see what I think of it. Ignition on. All right. The thing with such a high torque number is immediately you feel it. Even when leaving a standstill, you just feel the engine effortlessly pushing you forward, even though with my weight and the scooter's weight, we have around 300 kilograms here in total. But we shall see. In terms of suspension, it's very compliant. The suspension is very compliant. Let's close this up for some better audio. And let's lift that up, try to reduce the wind noise as much as we can. Effortlessly. When you're just poodling along around town, it really does feel like it's effortlessly doing it. Now somebody else has been already out with this scooter, so the engine is nice and warm. As you can see, 4 bars on the water temperature gauge, and that's exactly where it should be. I'm still not happy with the wide seating position, but we'll manage. So let's... Woohoo! All right. Yeah, I think it really dominates. In terms of sitting position, I have pretty short legs and I can find a pretty comfortable position, but for tall riders they may feel a little bit cramped. But for me, it's just perfect. Just let's let this guy pass and let's see what... Oh boy! Okay, that was all. Jesus, this is powerful. And it didn't even rev that high. So now we're just cruising at 70. Signal, punch it. Jesus, it just keeps pulling. Whoa! So 80, 90 is like 90 uphill. Just pulls like a freight train. It just keeps on going. Alright, that was more than I am willing to admit. But you know what? It's really stable, and the wind protection, Jesus, a really nice package. The wind protection with the windscreen up is better than the Cruise Sim. No buffeting, a lot less wind noise, so the windscreen is doing its job. Let's see. A roundabout. Come on. Let's just quickly. And really stable on the side of the tire. Oh, bit of traffic. I wanted to open it up again. Back up on the bridge. I really don't want to undertake. Come on. Okay, that. Really nice. Yeah, let's just slow it down a bit. The engine dominates the experience completely. Okay, I'm convinced now. The engine absolutely dominates the experience. The big 400cc thumper really thrusts you forward. You don't feel it as acceleration. You feel it like as a kick in the ass by some supernatural force. You just think of where you want to be, you twist the throttle, and you're there. And it doesn't even rev out that much. The transmission, even under hard acceleration, keeps it round to about 6,000, 5,500, right where the torque is. Very well set up transmission. They really worked to get the absolute most out of it. The transmission really makes the engine absolutely shine. And the suspension, although not some super high-tech complicated suspension, the spring rates and the damping rates are really nicely set up for the weight of the scooter. And it really gives you stability, and the big fat white tire on the back really gives you confidence in the corners. It feels good on the side of the tire. That's amazing. For such a heavy scooter, it really feels very good on the side of the tire. It's flattering for the rider with the ease at which you can take corners at speed. It's extremely flattering for the rider. It gives you so much confidence. And you can have confidence with double discs up front, ABS, traction control. Although it should feel, let's go, punch it. It should feel intimidating with this much torque on tap. It should feel intimidating to ride, but it's not. It's like a puppy dog. And the throttle very nicely fueled, the engine. You can either punch it and engage warp mode, or you can just poodle along at 30-40 kilometers an hour. The fueling of the engine is very well made. It's very well set up. The brakes are nice and strong. Very little effort. You can stomp it. You can stomp it on the front tire with just one finger. For normal everyday riding, the brakes you just use the brakes with one finger. Really compliant suspension. Now I'm really impressed with the entire package. The engine is extremely punchy. It really does feel like a proper thumper. You can feel it's one big cylinder underneath you. The transmission is really nicely set up for this engine especially. It keeps the engine exactly in its maximum torque output. It doesn't let it go to 7,000 where it has its maximum horsepower. The engineers knew the torque. The torque is the big thing with this engine. So the transmission was set up to really take advantage of all that low down grunt this engine has. Couple that with a really nice engine, soaks up the bumps but is firm enough so it gives you confidence on the bends. Big brakes, wide tires. You can have a lot of fun with this and honestly get into a lot of trouble with the police because of the speed, because it just picks up speed in a way that such a heavy scooter with just 32 horsepower should have no right in doing. There's just, thank you, like that. It just gets up and goes like nobody's business. It really is a case of goodbye, Mr. Bond. I am hard-pressed to see normal city motorcycles trying to keep up with this thing. Because what you have to remember, a motorcycle, you have to shift through the gears. You have, when you are leaving a stoplight, you have to manage the clutch to get it going. This does it all for you, and you just punch it out of here. You get full torque from basically no kilometers an hour. Let's just take it down a bumpy road. I want to see how the suspension handles really bumpy stuff. So no squeaks, no rattles. It is shaking me up a little bit, but nothing uncomfortable. Just small vibrations. Yeah, really nicely set up suspension. And let's see if we can turn it around. Let's see the maneuverability. This would be about a lane and a bit. And with this much torque, to be able to just poodle along and just turn it around at no kilometers an hour and have the finesse and the throttle to manage all this engine with all its power. It's really impressive how nicely fueled the engine is. Let's take it here? Yeah, why not? Let's have a bit of fun. No trains. This is seriously bumpy. This is where I took down the Maverick. And honestly, the Maverick was on a bit of a hard suspension setting, but this is coping just as fine as the Maverick is in terms of comfort. Which is frankly a bit of amazing, because this is not an off-road scooter by any stretch of the imagination. traction control a bit there. Yep, traction control reeling in the engine in case you want to mess around. Let's try. No, you have to be stopped to try to turn it off. Traction off. Let's see if it's a handful. Squirmy a little bit. Oh no. When the back end breaks loose, it doesn't bite. It doesn't snap into oversteer. Let's see if we can turn back traction control on the move. I think not. Nope. We have to stop again to get traction back on. Traction is back on. So even without traction control, you can really modulate the throttle and control your acceleration. That's a testament to how well the transmission is coupled to this engine. How well set up the transmission is to let you manage the engine power output to the rear wheel in such a nice way, with such finesse. It's mind-boggling, to be honest. You can really tell this is a 2021 completely redesigned from the ground up. Honestly, it doesn't feel like anything else Sym has on offer. It feels like an extremely well put together package. Punch it. Now I know there's a fast left-hander up here in a bit, and it's extremely bumpy. I want to see how it handles a corner on bumps, because this sweeping stuff, oh, this is just beautiful. The transitions are wonderful. Now let's see here. Bumps. A bit shaky, but perfectly in control. Yeah, the entire experience is dominated by this engine, but the chassis really comes to complement it. It really works beautifully with the power, with the weight of the scooter, and it really complements the entire package. This isn't just a scooter. This isn't just a scooter with a powerful engine or with a torque engine. The entire package is really well put together and is really well set up to work everything in perfect harmony, and that's why it complements the rider. That's why it's so easy to ride, either slow or fast. Honestly, if you can properly reach the ground on this one, it's a wonderful bit of kit, and for 6,500 euros, honestly, it's not that much money. The wind protection is absolutely beautiful. For me, at least, at 175 centimeters, I would not need the windscreen extension, even on long trips, even on motorway riding. Even back there on the bridge at a bit over 100, it was perfectly calm here. No wind buffeting, no high levels of noise, and I'm not wearing any earplugs. Really nice. Very impressive. The entire package is very impressive. So if you are on the market for something in this budget between 6,000 and 7,000 euros, really, I beg you, take it out for a ride. Don't make up your mind just on the looks or how you sit on it standing still. Take it out for a ride. Take it out a couple of kilometers around the city. Talk to your dealer, take it out. You'll be amazed at just how beautifully this thing rides. Right, so that's been it for the Maxsym. Really eye-opening experience. I still don't like the stubbiness and I still can't reach the ground properly, but honestly, if I didn't do deliveries, and because with my deliveries I require a smaller scooter, much lighter weight than this would be a really awesome option to have for the city and for the occasional weekend blast. Really well put together. So let's get you thank you very much for watching this video, and if you liked it, give it a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel, and until next time, take care out there and ride safe.